Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, join me, Rob McConnell, as together we'll investigate the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology here on the X-Zone Radio TV show on XZBN and the X-Zone TV channel on Simul TV. Since 1990, the X-Zone Radio TV show has been the place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. Together, we'll investigate UFOs, aliens, ghosts, Bigfoot, psychic phenomenon, lake monsters, conspiracy theories, government cover-ups, the truth embargo, alien abductions, ESP, haunted locations from around the world, and so much more. With over 28 years of broadcasting and more than 4,500 individual guests, the X-Zone is truly a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality, as evidenced by the credibility, integrity, and professionalism of the guests that we bring to our international audience. If you have seen a UFO, had a close encounter, seen a ghost, Bigfoot, lake monster, or a story that you would like to share or have investigated, contact me, Rob McConnell, by sending me your email to xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, or you can call toll-free 1-800-610-7035, extension 143, and on Skype, X-Zone Radio TV. For more information on the X-Zone Radio TV show with yours truly, Rob McConnell, visit www.xzoneradiotv.com or www.xzonetvchannel.com or simultv.com and xzbn.net. Until next we meet here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, always remember, X-Zone Nation, keep your eyes to the sky and your heart in the light.
The X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Rob McConnell's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the X-Zone Radio Show or endorsed in any manner by Rob McConnell, rel-mar McConnell Media Company, the X-Zone Broadcast Network, its affiliated networks, stations, employees, or advertisers.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X-Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And welcome back to the X-Zone. I am Rob McConnell, still suffering from a summer cold. So I've got to tell you something. Leave it to me to get colds in the summertime. But I do want to thank all our listeners for sending in those wonderful homeopathic remedies for the summertime cold. I do appreciate it. And I even tried the prescribed allergy over-the-counter medications. Nah, didn't work. Modern science, what can I say? Welcome back to the X-Zone. We're coming to you from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't forget, in about a month from now, we're going to be changing our studio locations. And at that time, we won't be coming to you from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. We're not divulging where we are, but of course we're going to be staying in Ontario. Let me see, what kind of hint can I give you? Well, that's where we started this show going back to 1990. So there you go. If you can remember where we were in 1990, you'll know the location of where we're moving our studios and our offices to, as well as Laura and I are moving our home as well. After living in Hamilton for so long, we're going to miss the place. But you know what? It's nice to be going back home. X-Zone Nation, my guest this hour is a good friend of mine, Preston Dennett. What can I tell you about Preston? Well, he's the author of more than 100 articles and 24 books about UFOs and the paranormal. Several of his books have been Amazon bestsellers. He has appeared on numerous television and radio programs. His website is PrestonDennett.weebly.com. And Preston, welcome back to the X Zone, and congratulations on your latest book, Schoolyard UFO Encounters.
Hey, thanks, Rob. Thanks for being on the show. I really appreciate it.
It's always a great pleasure having you on. Our listeners love you, justifiably so. You know, you cover so many topics with your research, and I've often wondered, what is Preston Dennett's favorite area of research?
When it comes to UFOs, I'm going to have to say the onboard experiences, talking to people who've had really extensive encounters.
Have you yourself seen a UFO?
I have, actually, more than once. Not until I started researching this stuff. But I've had, 6 good sightings, I would say.
Do you think the interest that you've been focusing on when it comes to UFOs has piqued your ability to actually see the craft or see the phenomena?
I think so, to a certain extent. I'm always looking up, going outside, and very open-minded to the possibility that this stuff can happen, because I know it can. But to a certain extent, I think it's just coincidence, or I don't know. I mean, when you start looking into this stuff, they look into you. This is definitely a thing I've noticed with other researchers. So there's something there.
I've often wondered the fact that you're looking or researching, that you're sending out telepathic information out there that they're actually keying into and making you aware of their presence.
Yeah, I have to wonder, because they're pretty on top of things. They know where their abductees are at all times. I think they're keeping tabs on the UFO field. It would surprise me if they weren't.
Right.
So I don't know. I mean, there's some indication of that for sure. My first real good sighting, I was talking about UFOs all night. This was in, July 1992. Had never really seen anything up to that point. And driving home late at night, I thought it was a bird at first, but it clearly wasn't. It came right up to my car. It was a ball of light, maybe about the size of a golf ball, a little bigger, pretty bright, white, and it came right up to my windshield. Shocked me. We're talking 2 feet away. It kind of goes back and forth a few times and then takes off. So I feel like I was targeted there for sure.
Do you think that they were just scanning you, trying to get some readings on you, probing you?
I've often wondered. It wasn't like a giant UFO. It was just this little ball of light. So it felt like a probe. But looking back, I could have had missing time for all I know. I don't know. I never really looked into it that way. I've never gone under hypnosis.
Right.
But I wonder about it.
It does raise a lot of questions, doesn't it? Speaking about raising a lot of questions, your new book, Schoolyard UFO Encounters, we were discussing you coming on the show tonight at our pre-production meeting, and a couple of people said, wait a minute, Rob. Schoolyard UFO Encounters? And I read some of the information that you sent us. And, of course, the staff here know who you are, and they're saying, this is creepy when kids are actually having schoolyard UFO encounters. And how come nobody hears about it, except thanks to Preston and his new book?
Yeah, let me tell you, it freaked me out. Kids are our most precious resource.
Yeah.
I think we all love children. And I've written a number of books on UFOs, but this one hit me pretty hard. There was a few chapters in there I was like weeping, literally, because such young children. And there are a few famous cases. There's the Rua, Zimbabwe case.
Oh, that was, go on, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that was in 1994. UFO landed next to a school, and humanoids were seen. It's certainly not the only famous case. There's about 5 of them. The first real one to get any attention was the Hillsdale College case. That was in Michigan in 1966. And, that was a huge case. I mean, that got the attention of Project Blue Book. J. Allen Hynek, he went over, called it swamp gas. It caused a huge uproar that actually led to a congressional investigation into UFOs, the first one.
How did you get involved in the research into this book? Did somebody send you some information that kind of sparked your interest?
It kind of creeped in slowly. Just by coincidence, my very first humanoid case was a schoolyard case. I had a relative who was walking by Stagg Street Elementary School late at night. She was a college student at the time. She did attend that school as a child, but at the time she was a college student, and saw what she thought were two children standing directly in front of the school. There's a floodlight there, a courtyard.
Mm-hmm.
She walks right next to them, and they turn and look at her. They're 4 or 5 feet tall, bald, large heads, green jumpsuits, the typical grays. Back then, no one had really heard of grays, and completely scared the daylights out of her. And she took off as fast as she could without, panicking and running away. So that was my first humanoid case. And I'm like, wow, grays, this is amazing. But in front of a school, it's shocking. And
is there any connection between these encounters with these people, or these, I guess we can call them people, for lack of better words, who are implicated within the UFO experience? Is it like these children that are just popping up at different people's houses that seem totally strange and out of it? Is there any connection? And for the life of me, I can't remember the name of it.
I'm not so sure about that. I do know that these encounters affect children for the rest of their lives. Many of the witnesses say they think about that encounter every day for the rest of their lives. So it does affect them. Some children come away continuing to have encounters. So there's that as well.
Is there a common thread between all the children when it comes to the analysis of who, what, when, where, why of these particular children having the encounters?
Not really. I mean, there's so many people who are seeing these things, because these are schoolyard encounters are generally speaking witnessed by 40 people, 50, 100, 200.
My Lord.
Yeah, it's not at all unusual. I mean, some cases involve 400 students. At least half the time, teachers are there witnessing this stuff as well. They're weird cases because these are not typical flybys. This is not a coincidence. Schools are being directly targeted. These objects are coming very low. They land, or humanoids are seen in about 30% of the cases. And here's what's really weird, thinking of patterns. About half the cases involve elementary schools, the rest being, of course, middle school, high school, and colleges.
Right.
But they're coming for our youngest children.
Is it that they're coming for our youngest children, or are the youngest children most susceptible to whatever method of communications that these extraterrestrials or visitors from wherever are using to communicate with?
I can't rule that out. The fact that there are so many elementary school cases and they far outnumber the others makes me feel like, no, this is definitely a conscious choice on the part of the ETs. But we just don't know for sure. Children are tricky witnesses because they are very imaginative. I mean, they have invisible playmates. They have a kind of a blurred sense of reality.
But let's talk about this on the other side of this break, Preston. Are they invisible playmates, or do the children have the ability to see the frequencies that we adults choose to forget? We'll be back on the other side of this commercial break with my special guest this hour, Preston Dennett. We're talking about Preston's new book, Schoolyard UFO Encounters. It's available on Amazon.com. And if you'd like to visit Preston's website, it's prestondennett.weebly.com. I'm Rob McConnell. This is the X Zone. We're coming to you on the X Zone Broadcast Network and on Simul TV on the X Zone TV channel. We'll be back on the other side of this break. Don't go away.
It's hard to listen to the news without realizing we're living in volatile, unprecedented times. Yet never has there been such an opportunity to transform the human condition. As old structures fail, where can we find the guidance to co-create a better way? Find Your Path Home is an ever-evolving, leading-edge information, education, and healing resource center designed to support and guide you on your path to unity and enlightenment. Based on sound principles employed by shaman worldwide, we provide techniques that can support you through the current transitions, offering online shamanic classes, international long-distance shamanic healing sessions, complimentary Mission Evolution radio episodes and Stairway to Heaven TV vignettes, seminars, retreats, and much more. All of this can be found on findyourpathhome.com.
So I was watching the X Zone TV channel last night when I was abducted by aliens, and they kept repeating to me over and over again, simultv.com, simultv.com.
What's simultv.com?
That's what I asked them. They had it written on the side of their UFO.
How do you spell that?
UFO.
No, I mean simultv.com.
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 Right. simultv.com.
Interesting that you were abducted by aliens in a simultv.com UFO last night.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Now that you mention it, I remember now last night I was awakened from a deep sleep. My great-grandmother was standing there. She said she'd come from the hereafter to tell me about simultv.com. She even spelled it out for me.
simultv.com, sonny boy.
simultv.com.
simultv.com, sonny boy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Guys, you'll never guess what my psychic guru just told me.
simultv.com.
Exactly. Are you guys psychic too?
Of course.
We all know about simultv.com. simultv.com.
Exonation, Preston Dennett is my special guest, www.prestondennett.weebly.com. He's the author of a new book that is published by Blue Giant Books this year in 2019. The book is entitled, are you ready for this, Exonation? This is the book we're talking about this hour, Schoolyard UFO Encounters, and it's available on Amazon.com. All right, before we went to the break, we were talking about children and their invisible friends. And I've often wondered, Preston, are these imaginary friends, or are these, and let's include angels into this realm, all right? Because children see angels more than any other age group. And I've often wondered, are they imagining this, or are they actually seeing or perceiving or communicating something that for some, with an entity that we as adults, or as we get older, the veil of forgetfulness or the veil of blindness drops on us, and we no longer can communicate or see these angels or these special friends, except for mediums and very gifted psychics. What's your take on that?
I'm not going to rule it out. I don't have any evidence where children can see something and the adults can't see it, and they're there at the same time. Mm-hmm. But, gosh, in my ghost research, I've done a bunch of research on ghosts.
Right.
Children see ghosts quite a bit more often than adults, and there are many cases where they're looking at ghosts, and the adults are right next to them and can't see them.
Yeah.
So there's something to that for sure. And I happen to think children are good witnesses because, their minds are unpolluted. They have no preconceptions about this. And, in most of the cases, they've never even heard of UFOs. So they're basically just describing what they saw.
All right, let's look at a couple of the cases that you've written about in your book. Let's take a look at March 15th, 1950. 31 students at Prestonburg Elementary School in Prestonburg, Kentucky, observe a fleet of UFOs.
Yeah, I love that case. It's a very early case. I've compiled over 100 of these cases, and they really began in earnest in 1950. And that's the earliest I could find except for one, which was in 1853. Mm-hmm. But this Prestonburg, Kentucky case is a typical example of this type of encounter in that these UFOs clearly want to be seen. That encounter began when there was this huge roar. It shook everything. All the kids were out on the playground playing, and these two objects approached and came very low, right over the school, scared the living daylights out of everybody. The children thought it was the end of the world. Mm-hmm. Some became violently ill. This was a big deal, and they were there for just a few moments, took off, came back, though, about an hour later. This time there was 4 objects. They came even lower to the point where these students and the teacher could see this object pretty well, and it wasn't anything normal. It wasn't a plane. So I don't know. It was an unusual case because it made an enormous amount of noise. where in most cases these objects are silent.
Right.
But weirdly, in some of these cases, they do make noise, clearly to sort of draw attention to themselves. I'm thinking. I don't know, but that's a typical case, 35 students. I mean, it's a lot of witnesses.
Yeah, something I noticed looking through your book is that this is a worldwide phenomenon. Like we were talking a few minutes ago or earlier today about the September 16, 1994 Ruwa, Zimbabwe event. And we just talked about Prestonburg, Kentucky. And then I know there was also a case in 1952 where dozens of students at Elder Park Elementary School in Glasgow, Scotland, saw a metallic saucer hover 30 feet above the school.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. England, Scotland, Ireland, France, Spain, Australia. That case is a great case. This student, Joan Torrance, school was just let out. That's another weird pattern that shows up. It's like during recess or right before school or right when school's let out, in a lot of cases at least. But suddenly there was a bunch of students on the playground there. This circular shadow starts playing over the field. They all look up. Everyone's struck dumb because there's this giant sort of sombrero-shaped object which comes straight for the school, stops 100 feet above the school, and hovers there for a good 5 minutes. Just in full view of everybody. I mean, what's it doing? My feeling, Rob, is that these objects are showing themselves off on purpose for the express reason of convincing students that they're real or that UFOs exist.
If that is the case, Preston, how come these UFOs aren't doing the same thing to the masses? For example, landing in Central Park or just doing something that would have the same effect on the adult population besides the students. Do they have any concept? I don't know. Do they have any concept or any idea on what they're doing to the psychological effects of these poor children who are being traumatized?
Yeah, I think they must, because we just don't see anything like this. I mean, we have all kinds of sporting events, and there's a few cases out there where UFOs will hover over, say, a concert, but nowhere in the numbers that we're seeing here. I think one of the reasons is, they're dealing with children, so children are, aren't going to make as huge a ripple in society immediately.
Oh, I don't know if that's true anymore. I really don't think so. With all the school shootings that we've had and the awareness on the safety of our children, I don't think that is true anymore, my friend.
Yeah, I agree.
Prior to Columbine, or I'd say okay, maybe I'd buy that, but I certainly can't buy that now.
Back in the day, yeah, children were, I think, much more so,
sure.
Seen and not heard, so to speak.
But with all these children who've witnessed these, and you were talking before about up to 400 students, did anybody ever take a picture?
Oh, yeah. There are several cases where pictures were taken. There was a case at Sacred Heart Elementary School in Moline, Illinois, where a police officer was on the playground at the time this UFO showed up. This is 1967. And he had a film camera and was able to capture film of this object as it moved away, which sure caught the attention of the Air Force, let me tell you. They sent people over immediately. A number of these cases do attract the attention of our military or the local government in some regard. So that's not all that unusual, but the fact that he got film of it really caught their interest. There's a few cases like that. Hotchkiss High School, they were having repeated visitations, so students finally set up some cameras and did catch this object on film. And I've seen both of these films, and they're not great in today's standards for UFO pictures, but I think they're authentic, and that's really, I think, an important distinction.
These films, have they been authenticated by any experts?
No, not really. I mean, to a certain extent. Certainly the Air Force seemed very interested in that Moline, Illinois footage.
Right.
But for the most part, no, people don't get great photographs of this. There was, of course, a very famous case in Melbourne, Australia, where some 200-300 students saw multiple UFOs hovering over the school. One landed. This was viewed by a number of teachers, too. one teacher did have a camera and took bunches of photographs, but the military showed up immediately following this incident and confiscated her camera and enacted a pretty vigorous cover-up of the whole event. I mean, to the point of bringing in students into the offices separately, questioning them, and threatening them not to talk.
Wow.
Yeah, it's probably the most famous schoolyard case out there, next to the Rua, Zimbabwe case. And they're still uncovering new witnesses. There's been a documentary about it. It's a huge, huge case.
If we go through your book and we just tally up the approximate number of children who are affected, who have been witness to these phenomenon, how is it then that the authorities seem to suppress this information? Why would they? Like, if there's a danger out there, don't we want the citizens to know about the danger?
Yeah, I mean, this is sort of the million-dollar question is, why is this subject being covered up at all? Mm-hmm. And I think there's a number of answers to that. The first being, really, this has been the policy from day one. It has not been talked about in an open and official way, and it never really has. So our government, or governments around the world, have to a certain extent painted themselves into a corner, because this is the way it's been done for so long, and reversing that policy is no easy feat. Saying this stuff is real, making an open official announcement, that's going to open up a can of worms. And that's another reason. I think there's another reason in terms of power and control and greed. I think we probably have this technology. I think that crash retrievals have happened, and we probably have some outstanding ET technology that would really upend our whole economics. So that could be another reason. I think there's a lot of reasons.
All right, stand by, Preston. You and I have to take our news break at the bottom of the hour. And Preston Dennett, X-Zone Nation, is my special guest. PrestonDennett.weebly.com is his website. And we're talking about Preston's new book that has been published by Blue Giant Books. The title is Schoolyard UFO Encounters. It's available on Amazon.com. You're listening to the X-Zone Broadcast Network. My name is Rob McConnell, and you're listening to the X-Zone Radio Show. We have a new show starting tonight. It airs tomorrow. It is entitled Mystics, Oracles, and Divination with Cooch Daniels. And if you'd like to find out more about that show, visit her website at www.modrs.net. Preston and I will be back on the other side of the news. Don't go away.
How would your life change if you could develop the business and personal skills that you need in order to make more money? Do you want to learn how to achieve your big life goals faster? Then go to findhiddenmoney.com and get the Goal for It online course. The course teaches you how you can set and achieve your biggest goals while completely overcoming the roadblocks to your goals so that you can realize your dreams and imagine more success. Go to findhiddenmoney.com.
Memorable dynamic presentations are a not-so-secret weapon in the business world. Do you have a powerful message that must be shared, but you haven't found a way to deliver that message? Do you want to be known as a top public speaker who gets amazing results? Are you ready to create and deliver your powerful message? Thomas Hides can help you create and deliver your speech to get the results you desire. Visit iconquality.com.
Did you expect your business to flourish, but instead it plateaued or didn't get off the ground yet? Would you like to achieve massive goals and discover new sources of income within your business? When you're ready to experience that type of success with fast results, Cindy Hendricks is the business coach for you. Her work with entrepreneurs and business owners has been life-changing. To get you and your business where you want to be, go to imaginemoresuccess.com.
Has the fear of public speaking stalled your business or personal life? What would you give to develop and maintain supreme confidence? Have an invaluable private program to always perform at your best. Imagine how you would feel. You can have all that and so much more today with Thomas Hyde's life-changing course called Number One Fear Unleashed. Visit numberonefear.com and be liberated from your fear of public speaking.
Welcome back, everyone. This is the X Zone. I am Rob McConnell. Preston Dennett is my special guest, PrestonDennett.weebly.com. Now, for all of you who have been sending us emails, we are monitoring the events in Philadelphia, where, 6 police officers have been injured in a multiple shooting incident. It is still an active scene. As soon as anything happens, the newsroom will cut in, and we will advise you on the latest of this. God. I don't know, Preston. If I was in a UFO zipping around and I've got this really neat technology, right? And you're all over the universe. And then you come to planet Earth and you see what the hell is going on this planet. Why would they want to stop here?
It's a good question, but they do seem to be very interested in all things human and in our planet. They're physically examining us. They're giving messages. They're abducting all kinds of animals. They're surveying our military strongholds. So they seem to be obsessed with humans for whatever reason. I don't know why, but we're kind of stuck with the evidence.
You know what scares me, Preston? When you watch a lot of the movies about the war, the opposing forces always have intelligence agents that go and do reconnaissance work, where they are going to launch attacks. They look for weak points. They look for the strong points. They look for the indications that would give them an upper hand in the war, the fight, the battle. Is it possible that this is what the UFOs are doing?
Certainly. I think that it's no secret that we're a pretty violent species. Mm-hmm. And if we have technology that allows us to travel between stars, and according to several whistleblower reports, we do, that creates a problem and a danger throughout the universe if we go rogue in some respect, mm-hmm. and to start causing problems among other species. I think that is a concern among ET groups. But we're still at such a learning point. We don't even know what's out there.
Yeah, that is quite a point. Let's get back to the schoolyards for a second. We're talking to Preston about his book entitled Schoolyard UFO Encounters. Out of all these children who have had the encounters, along with the teachers and other witnesses, including members of law enforcement, Preston, have any of the children reported attempts of communication with these craft?
Yes, absolutely. Some have tried, shouting and waving their hands and stuff, and doesn't usually have much of a reaction. The Rua, Zimbabwe case, which is when, about 200 children were on the playground that day. This mm-hmm. is in September 94. These objects show up. One of them lands. Humanoids come out, and they approach the children right up to the edge of the playground there. And while about 60 children saw the UFO, a much smaller group saw these humanoids, and a smaller portion actually communicated with them and did get messages, and it was universally about the environment. One child was told that we were using technology in the wrong way, that we become far too technological, that there's a good way to use technology and a bad way, and we could certainly do much better. Another student was told that we were destroying our forests, and this was going to cause huge problems for us in the future. Another was told that we had to stop polluting the air. So it was all about the environment, which, back in 1994, and certainly in South Africa, was not a talking point.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to ask you. Why in the name of God would these extraterrestrials talk to 200 little girls in Africa if they wanted to get a message across.
Right? I don't know, but it's not just there. They're doing it all over the world, so it's kind of a grassroots movement. I think that they did try to contact our leaders and didn't, I guess, have much success with that. For whatever reason, they decided that this was their agenda, and it's absolutely something they've done. Since 1950, not a year goes by where there isn't a significant schoolyard encounter. 1, 2 per year, and all across the world.
But how come this doesn't make mainstream news?
Well, I wish it would. I think that there's part of the reason is a media cover-up. It's not at all unusual for this to make local news.
Yeah,
that happens in quite a bit actually, and occasionally it does sort of get into the national headlines. Certainly, the Hillsdale, Michigan case did, as did the Rua, Zimbabwe case. But generally speaking, no. These stories. I mean, a good example is what happened at I believe it was Downey Elementary School. Let me get that right.
Okay.
This was actually Ocean Knoll Elementary School. Sorry. Where a father, his 10-year-old daughter, came home and said, "Daddy, this thing hovered over the playground." All the students saw it. One of the teachers saw it. It came low, hovered, it landed next to the school, took off again, had a big picture window. There was humanoids seen inside. And he was pretty upset. He went to the school, and the teachers refused to talk about it. He got testimony from some of the other students confirming what his daughter saw. He called the police. Police weren't interested. He called television station. They weren't interested either. He was finally found the National UFO Reporting Center and was able to make a report. But that's as far as it ever went. So there's obstacles to getting this information out, for sure.
In any of these cases, was the sighting collaborated by air traffic control or radar?
No. I can't think of any case that was. Let's see, there was a case in New Zealand. This involved some 400 witnesses.
My Lord.
Yeah, very widely viewed. It's a great case. This giant object appears, and this was in Maranui, New Zealand, in May 17th, 1970. Teachers were out there looking at this, 400 students. Giant saucer-shaped object hovered for a good 15, 20 minutes and took off. The problem is there's an airport about 3 miles away. They, of course, contacted the airport, who denied any information, said they didn't see a thing. Same thing with the Westall High School case in Melbourne, Australia. There's an airport nearby. They denied any knowledge of it. Same thing with the Crestview case 1 year later in 1967. 200 students, elementary school, see this object land right next to the school. There's an airport 2-3 miles away. Mm-hmm. They didn't see anything. So I don't know if they're denying it or if there's the UFOs are shielding themselves somehow, cloaking themselves. I don't know.
All right, let me ask you this. During these sightings, now, if you have a UFO hovering for 15 to 20 minutes, were there any sign of military aircraft in the area at the time of the appearance or during the duration of the visit by these craft?
Right. Not in the New Zealand case. Yes, in a number of cases. Yes, with the Westall Melbourne case, there was 4 or 5 Cessnas, not military, but clearly interested in UFOs. They were circling them, trying to catch them, get as close to them as they could. And no one has been able to trace who those pilots were to this day.
Isn't that kind of dangerous if you have a UFO being buzzed by these little Cessnas? Like, who in their right mind would do that?
Yeah, but this is, something that our military does. When a UFO shows up, we vector aircraft towards it.
Yeah, I can understand the military, like an F-16 or any of the newer aircraft or even the drones. But a Cessna?
Yeah, this was back, in 1966. Maybe that's a factor. I don't know. Yeah. I know that in Beverly, Massachusetts, there was a UFO hovering over a high school.
Right.
And the Air Force did send jets after it and basically chased it off. That's not at all unusual. That's happened in a number of cases. By the way, Blue Book got involved in that. That's such a great case. There was 3 objects witnessed by a group of about 10 people. This was at night. Initially, there was 3 women standing there looking at these objects, and one of them lifts her hand and waves at it. This object swoops down about 10 feet, 20 feet over their heads, scares the living daylights out of them. In fact, this case comes from Ray Fowler. One of the witnesses admitted she was so frightened by this that she actually urinated herself. And they called the police. Police came, they viewed the object. The object took off, the Air Force comes. Blue Book comes to investigate and said it was Venus, which is absolutely ridiculous.
The fact that the UFO came so close to one of the witnesses, did she suffer any ill effects? Was she hospitalized? Were tests run on her to see if there was any damage by radiation, or if there was there electromagnetic resonance? Anything? Right. No, not in her case. I mean, other than being frightened, out of her mind. Hey, you know what? That would be an ideal commercial for adult diapers. The next time you go looking for UFOs at night, make sure that you wear your adult peepees for UFO diapers. Hey, buddy, you and I have to take our final break. And Exonation, if you'd like to find out more about Preston, his website is prestondennett.weebly.com. And to get a copy of his new book, Schoolyard UFO Encounters, it's available on Amazon.com. When we come back, we'll do this hour's wrap-up as we continue here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, and on SimulTV at www.simultv.com. If you are looking for a safe, zero-calorie natural option to the harmful artificial sweeteners on the market today, Just Like Sugar is what you're looking for. Just Like Sugar is a wonderful natural alternative for those health-conscious people who choose a calorie-restricted diet with a great, pure, sweet flavor that tastes just like sugar. Just Like Sugar is a great natural option for people suffering from diabetes and may be useful in restricted diet programs where standard sugars are not allowed and does not cause a laxative effect of some other sweeteners. Just Like Sugar comprises a perfect blend of chicory root fiber, natural calcium, natural vitamin C, and Just Like Sugar's sweetness comes from the natural flavors from the peel of the orange. Just Like Sugar is a natural alternative to harmful artificial sweeteners and will change the way that you believe all natural sweetener products taste. Just Like Sugar is available at your local Whole Foods markets, Wild Oats markets, Henry's, Sun Harvest, and many other fine natural food stores in the U.S., Canada, and worldwide. They are here, and they've been here for thousands of years, making their presence known in the shadows. They might be seen by a lonely motorist on a deserted road late at night, or by a frightened and confused husband in the bedroom he is sharing with his wife. But who are they? What do they want? Why are they here? Perhaps most concerning, has the government been aware of their presence all along? The new book by Ellie Marzulli, UFO Disclosure, the 70-year cover-up exposed, delves into the world of UFOs. Can full disclosure be soon? Order now and receive a free hour and 37-minute DVD on the UFO phenomenon. UFOs are real. Get both the book and the DVD, a $40 value, for only $19.99. To order your book and DVD today, go to lamarzulli.net. That's LAMARZULLI.net.
You have heard of the X-Zone? Now watch it on SimulTV, plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is SimulTV. SimulTV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X-Zone, Sci-Fi, and Horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games. No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand, live streaming events from around the world, interactive online network, and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. Simul TV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have Simul TV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.
Preston Dennett is my guest, www.prestondennett.weebly.com. He's the author of Schoolyard UFO Encounters. It's published by Blue Giant, and it's available on Amazon.com, and that's Blue Giant Books. And once again, on Amazon.com. Hey, first of all, I want to thank you so much for joining us tonight, Preston. It's always a great pleasure talking to you. Congratulations on yet another great book. Something crossed my mind as we were on the last commercial break. Is it possible that what is being witnessed is experimental aircraft or experimental craft of some sort, that it necessarily isn't? Well, it's a UFO because it's unidentified. But is it possible that what we're actually witnessing is, or what the children are witnessing, is military?
In most cases, I don't think so, because there's a number of cases involving humanoids, and they're certainly not human. But there are a couple of cases that really make me wonder. There was in Iron Mountain, Michigan, there was this elementary school sighting that was very low level. A bunch of students saw it, teachers saw it as well, and it was kind of hiding there in front of the sun until this cloud covers the sun and everyone could see it. And the main witness said, there were rivets on this thing, like, we see in normal steelwork.
Right.
Which is something that does turn up in other cases, beyond just Schoolyard UFO Encounters. But it was his feeling, the witness's feeling, that this was probably one of ours. But I don't know. What's it doing hovering that low over a school?
Exactly.
Right? This is not how the military tests their advanced aircraft.
Mm-hmm. Speaking about testing aircraft, what is your opinion on the march to Area 51?
I support it. I think that it's time that we take some political action to end this cover-up, and I think this will send a message to the government that we know you're covering stuff up, and stop it.
Is it possible that this could actually work against the UFO community? Because, what responsibility or level of responsibility does it show these people have when they deliberately break the law, go on to a military installation that, says, hey, we can use lethal force? Like,
yeah,
isn't there a bit of a danger that this may just backfire horrifically on them?
Gosh, I sure hope not. I hope people don't try to, actually storm the fences, because I know people who have done that. And they got guns drawn on them. This is no joke. They do have the right to use lethal force, so I'm not recommending that by any means. But to show up at the gate, and do a little protest, why not? I do think ultimately it is good for the UFO community because this will raise awareness to the subject and let people know that, there's a lot of people who believe in this subject. Over half of people know that this is a true phenomena, and I don't think it's going to go away. We really have to start dealing with this in a more public arena, mainstream.
But people have been trying for years and years and years. Stephen Bassett and his crusade, just to name one, and yet nothing has changed. He's had press conferences in Washington. He's done everything possible. And I don't even think the new television show Unidentified is having any inroads into the disclosure. It's getting a lot of hype, but that's about it. So is this actually the way to do it?
Well, we're trying everything because nothing's working. We've had no movement in terms of the cover-up. There was, that recent Pentagon disclosure, which was kind of a joke.
It was a big joke, especially since it wasn't a UFO. It was a hypersonic vehicle that DARPA had been testing in that area for years.
Yeah, I mean, I am really not pleased with how our military, or who's ever in control of this subject, is handling it. I do believe it's the higher levels of the military, the industrial complex.
Right.
But yeah, it's a tightly controlled subject. We know there's a cover-up. It's demonstrable. We've got proof of that through the Freedom of Information Act. Literally every intelligence organization within the U.S. has been caught.
But you're just getting part of this. There's three sides to every story. His side, her side, and the truth. The information that is being acquired under the Freedom of Information Act is only one part, a little sliver of the big story. So how can anything be proved just by the little slivers that are coming out? For example, if this information was there, and if in fact there was a conspiracy, a cover-up, would it not be possible for somebody to hack into the computer of any country where this alleged cover-up is and expose the country as, hey, look, you're lying. Here, do the same thing to the UFO community that they did to Hillary.
Right. Well, we did see that with Gary McKinnon, who broke into the NASA computers and got some proof of UFOs being covered up and airbrushed out of certain photos.
But NASA has nothing to do with UFOs. If you want to get the UFO information, you have to go to the military. Right?
Yeah, I agree. And this is why the Freedom of Information Act is a powerful tool. We've got a lot of whistleblowers coming out. That helps corroborate it. But we're fighting a war here. Literally, I mean, there are people who are spending a lot of our tax dollars to make this subject look ridiculous and to keep it hidden.
But is it possible that what is actually being done, Preston, is that the UFO community is actually being a threat to national security by their provocative measures? Is it possible that what the UFO community believes to be a UFO with extraterrestrials from another star system is actually military experimental aircraft and other devices meant to protect the United States of America? And the same thing is happening around the world by other governments doing this research, doing these experiments in order to protect their civilians. Is it possible in today's world that the only thing that the governments of the world can agree on is to keep a secret about UFOs? Come on.
Yeah, well, I don't think they agree. I think we're seeing various governments having varying levels of disclosure.
But there's been no smoking gun released. You've got Nick Pope out there who's using his desk job in the military to make him a UFO expert. And people see this and they say, what the hell are you guys talking about? Get a 4-star general up there saying the same things and we'll give it some listen. But a desk jockey?
Yeah, it's a real problem. I mean, I've talked to a number of people within the Navy, not generals, but a lieutenant colonel. He towed the party line. But, lower level officers have told me some really amazing stories. A submarine navigator I talked to, several naval officers, a guy who was an electrician's mate on the USS Clamagore. He had an incredible sighting of a USO, an unidentified submersible object. The captain saw it, the second in command, he saw it, another lookout, and it was never recorded in the log. So this stuff is just, it's the policy to cover this stuff up. Don't leave a paper trail. It makes it very difficult to investigate.
But is it the captain and the first officer covering it up, or were they aware of what it was, and it wasn't, it was something that was classified, and the other person didn't need to know?
I don't think so. In that particular instance, this object zoomed up to the submarine, the USS Clamagore, paced it for about 15 minutes, completely freaked out all the high-ranking officers who one by one came up onto the deck to look at this thing. If this was military, no one told them, because they were very interested in trying to find out what it was. They were communicating with the sonar room.
It's interesting you mentioned that, and I'm going to just interject here, because we know for a fact that DARPA has been testing craft, HD TV craft, in the Pacific, the area where the Nimitz had its sighting. And they've been doing that since for a couple of years. Now, how come nobody put this together?
I don't know. There's so many sightings, there's no way it's military. It's just not an option. This has been going on far, far too long. There's far too many craft. These craft are hovering over people's homes, chasing cars down the road, landing in places where military craft don't land. Some of it, yes, is probably military.
Yeah.
I would be surprised if it wasn't.
But is there enough proof, hardcore proof, to substantiate all of these claims? And if not, what do you say the percentage of hardcore evidence is in all of the cases? Is it 5%? Is it 20%? Is it 50%? Or is it 1 or 2%?
Well, I don't think it's 1 or 2%, and I don't think it's 50%. Each case comes with varying amounts of evidence. What we are dealing with now is a huge amount of largely circumstantial evidence.
Because of the Internet?
Yeah, that helps, spread the word, certainly. But we've got, look at it this way. We've got some 1,000 landing trace cases, which, some are better than others.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of films. We've got a bunch of radar return cases. We've certainly got a bunch of medical injury cases. But, to have one case that has, all of this evidence in it, no.
Okay. Hey, listen, I'd love to keep talking to you, my friend, but our hour is up. Preston, thank you so much for coming on the show. Once again, congratulations on your new book. And Exonation, if you'd like to find out more about Preston, his website is prestondennett.weebly.com, and the name of his new book, Schoolyard UFO Encounters. It's available on Amazon.com. I'll be back on the other side of this break at 6.5 minutes past the hour as we continue here in the X Zone from our Broadcast Center studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, on the X Zone Broadcast Network and Simul TV. Don't go away.
Little children aren't the only ones afraid of the dark. Millions of soldiers return from war zones with PTSD, anger, frustration, fear, and loneliness, much of which surfaces during the darkness of the night. You have the chance to change the lives of these American heroes. Songs and Stories for Soldiers.us provides free MP3 players for these men and women. With a list of 3 million songs in 16 different styles, 100,000 audiobooks, and 30,000 old-time radio programs, every veteran can find something to soothe and comfort them at no cost. All our players contain an 8-hour audio program designed to help veterans fall asleep. With 1,500 plus vets now participating, it's our goal to deliver 10,000 audio players this year. Go to our website at songsandstoriesforsoldiers.us. Help us help a veteran make it through the night.
Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, join me, Rob McConnell, as together we'll investigate the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology here on the X Zone Radio TV show on XZBN and the X Zone TV channel on Simul TV. Since 1990, the X Zone Radio TV show has been the place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. Together, we'll investigate UFOs, aliens, ghosts, Bigfoot, psychic phenomenon, lake monsters, conspiracy theories, government cover-ups, the truth embargo, alien abductions, ESP, haunted locations from around the world, and so much more. With over 28 years of broadcasting and more than 4,500 individual guests, the X Zone is truly a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality, as evidenced by the credibility, integrity, and professionalism of the guests that we bring to our international audience. If you have seen a UFO, had a close encounter, seen a ghost, Bigfoot, lake monster, or a story that you would like to share or have investigated, contact me, Rob McConnell, by sending me your email to xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, or you can call toll-free 1-800-610 7035 extension 143, and on Skype, X-Zone Radio TV. For more information on the X-Zone Radio TV show with yours truly, Rob McConnell, visit www.xzoneradiotv.com or www.xzonetvchannel.com or simultv.com and xzbn.net. Until next we meet here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, always remember, X-Zone Nation, keep your eyes to the sky and your heart in the light.